The Highly Sensitive Person, by Elaine N. Aron, Ph.D. Introduction. A young college student named Kristen once sat down with a psychologist. She was intelligent, clear-eyed, but her voice trembled as she spoke. "I'm sorry," she whispered, "but I had to talk to someone who could tell me." Her voice broke. She finally looked up, her eyes filled with a desperate, quiet fear, and asked a question that so many of us have asked ourselves in the silent moments of our lives. Am I crazy? She felt so different. She always had. As a little girl in nursery school, she was afraid of everything. When the other kids would bang on pots and pans during music time, she'd put her hands over her ears and cry. Her teachers called her spacey, which led to a series of medical tests. They tested her for mental retardation, and she ended up in the gifted program. They tested her hearing. It was normal. They even did a brain scan, thinking her quiet, inward nature might be due to seizures. Her brain was normal too. The final diagnosis was that she had trouble screening out stimuli, but all Kristen heard was the same message, over and over: something is wrong with you. This feeling followed her until, overwhelmed by life, love, and a trip to a foreign country, she found herself on the edge of a breakdown, convinced she had a fatal flaw. What if I told you that this feeling, this sense of being too sensitive, too emotional, too easily overwhelmed, isn't a flaw at all? What if it's a finely tuned instrument? This is the central, life-changing idea in Drive. Elaine N. Aron's international bestseller, The Highly Sensitive Person. This book isn't just a book. For millions of people, it has been a revelation. It gave a name to a hidden part of their identity and launched a global conversation. Drive. Aron, a research psychologist and psychotherapist, wasn't just an outside observer. She was studying herself. After her own intense reaction to a medical procedure, her therapist told her, "But of course you were upset. You are a very highly sensitive person." That single sentence sparked years of research, in-depth interviews, and clinical work, all culminating in this powerful guide. Today, we're going to explore the world of the highly sensitive person, or HSP. And I promise you, by the end of our time together, you will look at yourself, or someone you love, with a completely new understanding. You will learn why certain people feel things more deeply, notice things others miss, and need quiet and solitude to recharge. More importantly, you'll discover that this trait isn't a weakness to be overcome, but a profound strength to be understood, honored, and shared with the world. This isn't just about managing being overwhelmed, it's about learning how to thrive. Book summary. Have you ever been told, "You're just too sensitive for your own good"? Or maybe you've heard things like, "Don't be such a crybaby," or "Why do you take things so personally?" If those words sound familiar, if they echo in the back of your mind, then you know what it feels like to believe there might be something fundamentally different about you. You might feel like you're navigating the world with one less layer of skin than everyone else. Drive. Elaine N is here to tell you that you're not flawed. You're not broken. You are, quite possibly, a highly sensitive person. And it's not a disorder. It's a normal, neutral, inherited trait. It's like having brown eyes or being left-handed. It's simply how you're wired. About 15 to 20% of the population is born with this trait. That's 1 in every 5 people. It's not just in humans, either. Scientists have observed it in over 100 different species, from fruit flies and fish to dogs, cats, and monkeys. In every species, there's always a minority of individuals who are more observant, more cautious, and who process information more deeply before they act. Think about that for a moment. Evolution has kept this trait around for a reason. It must serve a vital purpose. So, what is this purpose, and what does it actually mean to be an HSP? The foundation of the trait is a nervous system that is more finely tuned. It's not that your senses are better, your hearing or eyesight isn't superhuman. The difference is in your brain. You process information, all information, more deeply. Imagine two different kinds of computers. One is a standard model that gets the job done quickly. The other is a supercomputer that analyzes every bit of data from every possible angle. It takes in more information, compares it to past experiences, and notices subtle patterns that the standard model completely misses. That supercomputer is the brain of an HSP. This deeper processing has a few key consequences, which drive. Aron brilliantly summarizes with the acronym DOES. Understanding this is the key to unlocking the entire concept. First, D is for depth of processing. This is the bedrock of the trait. You think more about everything. When you're making a decision, you consider every option and potential outcome. This is why you might take longer than others to make up your mind. It's not indecisiveness, it's thoroughness. When you have a conversation, you're not just hearing the words, you're processing the tone of voice, the body language, and what's not being said. This deep processing is also the source of your rich, complex inner life. You have vivid dreams, a powerful imagination, and a constant internal dialogue. Because you're always connecting and comparing information, you often have strong intuition. You just know things without being able to explain exactly how. You see the connections that others miss. The second letter is O, for overstimulation. This is the part of the trait that HSPs, and the people around them, notice most. If your brain is like a supercomputer, processing every little detail in your environment, it's going to use more energy. It makes perfect sense. If you're in a crowded mall, a non-HSP might notice the stores and the people. You notice the bright fluorescent lights, the overlapping conversations, the music from 3 different shops, the smell of the food court, the crying baby 2 aisles over, and the subtle tension between the couple walking in front of you. You're taking it all in and processing it deeply. What is merely stimulating for others becomes overwhelming for you. Your nervous system gets flooded. This isn't a sign of weakness, it's a logical outcome of your wiring. This is why you need to withdraw after a busy day. You might need to retreat to a quiet, dark room, not because you're antisocial, but because you need to give your nervous system a chance to reboot. You've hit your processing limit sooner than others. Third, E is for emotional reactivity and empathy. HSPs feel everything more strongly. The highs are higher, and the lows are lower. This isn't just about negative emotions. You react more to a beautiful piece of music, a stunning sunset, or a moment of kindness. You are deeply moved by art and beauty. But you also feel the sting of criticism more sharply and the pain of the world more acutely. This emotional reactivity is also tied to empathy. You don't just understand how someone else feels, you feel it with them. When a friend is sad, a part of you feels that sadness in your own body. This is because of something called the mirror neuron system in the brain, which fires in the same way whether we're doing an action or watching someone else do it. Brain scans have shown that HSPs have more active mirror neuron systems, especially when looking at photos of people showing emotion. This incredible capacity for empathy makes you a wonderfully caring friend, partner, and parent. You're tuned into the needs and feelings of others. But it also means you have to be careful not to absorb too much of other people's stress and pain. Finally, S is for sensing the subtle. This is about your awareness of the small things that others don't notice. You might be the first to notice that the plant in the corner needs water, or that your friend got a slightly different haircut. You pick up on subtle nonverbal cues, which makes you very perceptive in social situations. You can often tell what someone is feeling or thinking before they say a word. You might also be more sensitive to subtle physical sensations. You might notice delicate scents or tastes that others miss. You might be more sensitive to pain, the effects of caffeine, or even certain fabrics against your skin. This isn't about having better senses, it's about your brain paying closer attention to the information your senses provide. So, DOES. Depth of processing, overstimulation, emotional reactivity, and sensing the subtle. These 4 elements are a package deal. You can't have the incredible advantages, the intuition, the empathy, the creativity, the appreciation for beauty, without also having the challenges, primarily the tendency to become overstimulated. Now, you might be thinking, this sounds a lot like being shy or introverted. That's a common misconception, and it's one of the most important things drive. Aron clarifies. Shyness is a fear of social judgment. It's learned. Sensitivity is an innate biological trait. You are born with it. While many HSPs might develop shyness, because being told you're too sensitive can make you self-conscious, it's not the same thing. In fact, drive. Aron's research found that about 30% of HSPs are actually extroverts. They love being around people. But even an extroverted HSP will eventually get overstimulated by social interaction and need to retreat to recharge, which can be confusing for them and the people around them. An extroverted non-HSP, on the other hand, actually gets energized by being around more people. The confusion with introversion is also understandable. About 70% of HSPs are introverts. An introvert is someone who prefers quieter, less stimulating environments and a few deep relationships over a large circle of acquaintances. This naturally fits well with the HSP trait. But not all introverts are HSPs. Some introverts just aren't very sociable. They don't have that finely tuned nervous system. And as we just said, not all HSPs are introverts. The core of the trait isn't about sociability. It's about the depth of processing. The science behind this is fascinating. Researchers like Jerome Kagan at Harvard have studied this trait in infants, calling it high reactivity. They found that from birth, about 20% of babies react more strongly to new stimuli, a colorful mobile, a strange sound. They pump their arms and legs, arch their backs, and cry more easily. These babies are far more likely to grow up to be cautious, sensitive children. They have higher, more stable heart rates, more of the stress hormone cortisol in their systems, and even greater activity in the right hemisphere of their brain, which is associated with emotions and holistic thinking. This isn't a psychological quirk, it's a deep-seated biological reality. More recent research has even linked the HSP trait to specific genetic variations, including those related to the brain chemicals serotonin and dopamine, which are involved in mood, motivation, and information processing. What's truly remarkable is that these genetic variations aren't just linked to negative outcomes. For example, the same genetic makeup that makes an HSP more susceptible to depression if they have a troubled childhood also makes them thrive more than others if they have a supportive, nurturing childhood. They are more affected by their environment, for better and for worse. Like a delicate orchid, they will wilt in poor soil but produce the most beautiful flowers in the right conditions. A dandelion, on the other hand, will grow pretty much anywhere, but it will never be an orchid. This brings us to one of the most powerful and healing parts of the book, reframing your past. If you are an HSP, your childhood was fundamentally different from that of a non-HSP, even if you grew up in the same house as a non-sensitive sibling. You felt things more deeply. A harsh word from a parent or a teacher cut you more deeply. A scary movie haunted you for weeks. The chaos of a large family gathering was more exhausting. And because our culture doesn't always value sensitivity, you likely received messages that something was wrong with you. In North America, the ideal is often the tough, outgoing, unflappable warrior type. In a fascinating study, researchers compared schoolchildren in Canada and Shanghai. In Canada, shy and sensitive children were among the least popular. In China, where words like shy or quiet can mean good or well-behaved, these same children were among the most chosen as friends. Your culture determines whether your trait is seen as a gift or a liability. Growing up as a sensitive boy is often particularly difficult. Boys are expected to be tough, bold, and unemotional. A sensitive boy who cries easily or prefers reading to rough-and-tumble sports is often shamed and ridiculed. He learns to hide his true nature, to put on armor, which can lead to a lifetime of feeling disconnected from his own emotions. A sensitive girl, on the other hand, might have her sensitivity encouraged, as it fits with cultural stereotypes of femininity. But she might also be overprotected, taught that the world is too scary for her and that she isn't capable of handling it on her own. This can stifle her independence and confidence. Understanding this allows you to look back on your life with compassion instead of judgment. Those times you felt overwhelmed weren't failures. Those moments you felt different weren't proof that you were flawed. It was your trait, misunderstood by you and the world around you. This reframing is not about blaming anyone, it's about liberating yourself from a lifetime of self-criticism. It's about finally understanding your own operating manual. So how do you use this manual to thrive in a world that often feels like it wasn't designed for you? Drive. Aron offers a wealth of practical wisdom. It starts with honoring your body and its needs. Think of your sensitive body as an infant. An infant has very basic, non-negotiable needs: food, rest, and protection from overwhelming stimulation. When those needs are met, the infant is happy and content. When they are not, the infant cries. It sends out a distress signal. Your body does the same. That feeling of being frazzled, irritable, or on the verge of tears is your body's distress signal. It's telling you it has had too much stimulation. The wise caretaker of an infant learns to anticipate its needs and respond to its first signs of distress. You must learn to be that wise caretaker for yourself. This means, first and foremost, respecting your need for rest. You need more sleep than others. You need more downtime, time alone, with no demands, to simply process the day. This isn't a luxury, it's a biological necessity. Pushing yourself to keep up with non-HSPs is a recipe for burnout, anxiety, and even physical illness. It also means creating boundaries and managing your environment. This might mean saying no to that loud party when you're already tired. It might mean wearing headphones in an open-plan office. It might mean leaving a shopping trip early. It's about creating containers in your life, safe, quiet spaces where you can retreat and recharge. Your home, your car, a quiet corner in a library, or even a deep conversation with a trusted friend can all serve as containers. This need for a different lifestyle inevitably affects our relationships. An HSP in a close relationship with a non-HSP faces a classic challenge: the difference in optimal arousal levels. The non-HSP partner might want to go out to a concert after a long week, feeling energized by the prospect. For the HSP, that might sound like torture. They're craving a quiet night at home. This isn't a matter of one person being right and the other wrong. It's a fundamental difference in wiring. The key is communication and respect. The HSP needs to explain their trait without making it sound like an excuse or a defect. The non-HSP needs to understand and not take it personally. It often requires compromises, like the non-HSP going out with friends sometimes, and other times, the couple finding an activity that is stimulating but not overwhelming for the HSP, like a walk in nature or a visit to a quiet museum. What about a relationship between two HSPs? It can be a wonderful haven of mutual understanding. They will likely share a similar pace of life and enjoy quiet activities together. The potential challenge is that they might both become too withdrawn from the world, and there will be no one to gently push them to try new things. Also, When both partners are overstimulated, it can be hard for either one to be the calm, supportive presence the other needs. Whether your partner is an HSP or not, the depth of feeling and perception you bring to a relationship is an incredible gift. You are intuitive, empathic, and deeply loyal. You are attuned to your partner's needs and create a rich, meaningful connection. This brings us to the larger role of HSPs in the world, which drive. Aron illustrates with a beautiful and powerful metaphor: the partnership between the warrior king and the priestly advisor. Throughout history, successful societies have often had these two types of leaders. The warrior king is the bold, aggressive, outward-focused leader. They are the explorers, the builders, the ones who rush into action. The non-HSPs. But a warrior king alone can be impulsive, short-sighted, and reckless. They need the counsel of the priestly advisor. The advisor is the thoughtful, cautious, inward-focused one. They are the historians, the judges, the philosophers, the artists, the spiritual guides. They are the ones who say, "Wait, let's stop and think about the consequences. Let's consider the subtle details. Let's look at the bigger picture." They are the HSPs. The warrior king may hold the power, but the priestly advisor holds the wisdom. Society needs both. The warriors push civilization forward, but the advisors ensure it doesn't run off a cliff. Your vocation, as an HSP, is to embrace your role as an advisor. Whatever your job, whether you're a teacher, an accountant, a scientist, an artist, or a parent, you bring a depth of thought, a conscientiousness, and an awareness of subtleties that is desperately needed. You are the one who spots the errors before they become disasters. You are the one who considers the ethical implications. You are the one with the vision for a better future. In a business world that often glorifies the aggressive warrior style, it can be hard to value your quieter, more thoughtful contribution. But organizations that overlook their HSPs do so at their peril. They lose their visionaries, their quality controllers, and their moral compass. Finding the right work is crucial for an HSP's well-being. Many HSPs thrive in careers that allow for deep concentration and creativity, such as writing, research, therapy, or the arts. Many are drawn to helping professions because of their natural empathy. Some find that self-employment is the ideal solution, as it allows them to control their hours and their environment. The key is to find work that is meaningful to you and that doesn't constantly leave you feeling overstimulated and drained. It's about following what the mythologist Joseph Campbell called your bliss, not in the sense of doing what is easy, but in engaging in work that feels deeply right, that calls to your soul. This leads us to the final, and perhaps most important aspect of the highly sensitive life, the realm of soul and spirit. HSPs are natural contemplatives. Our tendency to process things deeply and look inward inevitably leads us to the big questions. What is the meaning of life? What is my purpose? What lies beyond the material world? My interviews and research have consistently shown that HSPs have a richer, more active spiritual life than others, whether that's through organized religion, a personal spiritual practice like meditation, or a deep connection to nature and art. Your sensitivity is a doorway to the transcendent. You are more receptive to moments of awe, wonder, and mystery. You are more likely to have profound spiritual experiences, vivid dreams, and a sense of connection to something larger than yourself. In a world that is often loud, cynical, and superficial, your ability to create and hold a space for the sacred is an invaluable gift. You are the keeper of the inner life, the one who reminds society that there is more to reality than what can be seen and measured. This is the ultimate expression of the priestly advisor role. It is not about being weak or fragile. It is about possessing a different kind of strength, the strength to see deeply, to feel profoundly, and to connect with the very soul of the world. To be a highly sensitive person is to be given a special, though sometimes challenging, instrument. Your task is not to wish you had a different one, but to learn to play yours beautifully. It means accepting that you will feel the sorrow of the world more keenly, but also that you will experience its joys more intensely. It means honoring your need for quiet and solitude, not as a retreat from life, but as the necessary condition for you to hear the subtle music of your own soul. And it means having the courage to share the wisdom, creativity, and compassion that are your birthright. Your trait is not a burden. It is your calling. Commentary. As we close the pages on the highly sensitive person, what strikes me most is how this book acts as a mirror. For so many, it's the first time they've seen their true reflection, not the distorted image painted by a world that misunderstands them. Drive. Aron's work is more than just a psychological theory, it's an act of profound validation. It takes what has been labeled as a flaw and reframes it as a fundamental, valuable form of human diversity. The most powerful lesson, for me, is the shift from seeing sensitivity as a form of fragility to understanding it as a form of acuity. It's not about having thinner skin, it's about having a more powerful antenna. This simple change in perspective is revolutionary. It frees you from the exhausting and impossible task of trying to toughen up and instead invites you into the more authentic work of learning to manage your finely tuned system. The warrior king and priestly advisor metaphor is so brilliant because it gives this trait a noble, essential role in the story of humanity. It says, your way of being is not just okay, it is necessary. In today's world, which seems to grow louder, faster, and more stimulating by the day, this message is more urgent than ever. We are drowning in information and starved for wisdom. We are more connected technologically but often feel more disconnected emotionally. The HSP, with their preference for depth over speed, for meaning over noise, and for authentic connection over superficial networking, offers a vital counterbalance. They are the ones who naturally pause, reflect, and ask the deeper questions that our hurried world often forgets to ask. So, how can you begin to integrate this understanding into your own life, starting today? Here are a few simple actions you can take. First, simply get curious. If this description resonates with you, take the self-test in the book or find it online. Don't treat it as a definitive diagnosis, but as a tool for self-reflection. Just seeing the questions can be illuminating. Ask yourself, do other people's moods affect me? Do I have a rich, complex inner life? Do I get rattled when I have a lot to do in a short amount of time? Answering these questions honestly is the first step towards self-knowledge. Second, identify one primary source of overstimulation in your daily life and create a small, loving boundary around it. Is it the noise of your commute? Maybe it's time to invest in noise-canceling headphones. Is it the constant stream of notifications on your phone? Try scheduling 1 hour of Do Not Disturb time each day. Is it feeling drained after social events? Give yourself permission to leave early, without guilt. This isn't about avoidance, it's about strategic energy management. It's about honoring your body's needs. And third, practice the art of reframing. Think back to one specific memory from your past where you felt ashamed or embarrassed for being too sensitive. Maybe it was crying at school or feeling overwhelmed at a childhood birthday party. Now, look at that memory again through the lens of what you know now. See that child not as flawed, but as a highly sensitive individual whose nervous system was simply overwhelmed. Offer that younger version of yourself the compassion and understanding they didn't receive at the time. This simple act can begin to heal old wounds and build a foundation of deep, unshakable self-acceptance. That was a summary of The Highly Sensitive Person by Elaine N. Aron. We've explored the main ideas today, but I have to be honest with you. A summary is like looking at a travel brochure. The real adventure happens when you take the trip yourself. The true magic of this book lies in the quiet moments of reading, when a particular story or a simple phrase connects with a deep part of your own experience. This summary is a map, designed to help you see if this is a journey you want to take. If anything we've talked about today has struck a chord within you, I encourage you to get a copy. Reading it isn't just about learning. It's an experience that can genuinely change the way you see yourself and your place in the world. The link to the book is in the description. Also, if you found this summary valuable and want to continue exploring the world's most impactful books, please take a moment to like this video and subscribe to the channel. It lets us know we're on the right track and ensures you won't miss our next journey into another life-changing book. Let's keep growing together.